Nigeria has once again found itself in the center of intense political discussion following reports of an alleged coup plot against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. The story, which broke through several independent media outlets, has stirred both national and international concern. At the heart of the controversy stands General Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff. A man whose name has now become the subject of speculation, analysis, and debate. This is not about accusation or defense, but about understanding what this moment reveals about Nigeria's ongoing relationship between democracy and the military. The first whispers emerged from Sahara reporters and other local networks, claiming that the Defense Intelligence Agency DIA had discovered a conspiracy to topple the current administration. According to the reports, about 16 senior military officers, including captains and brigadier generals, were taken into custody for questioning. While official statements from the military described it as a routine disciplinary action, insiders painted a very different picture, one involving a secret plan to stage a coup on October 1st, Nigeria's Independence Day. The alleged goal was to unseat President Tinubu, dissolve democratic institutions, and establish a military-led authority. If that plan had gone forward, the question many Nigerians asked themselves was simple: who would have taken charge? The answer, by rank and position, pointed toward General Christopher Musa, the nation's highest-ranking military officer. Though there is no verified evidence linking him to any conspiracy, history shows that in moments of abrupt power transition, the Chief of Defense Staff often becomes the nation's interim leader. That possibility alone was enough to spark discussion about what such an event would have meant for Nigeria and its fragile democracy. To grasp the weight of such fears, one must revisit Nigeria's history with military rule. Since gaining independence in 1960, the country has seen multiple coups, 5 successful and several failed. The first occurred in January 1966, when Major General Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi took control from Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa's government. Later, in 1983, Major General Muhammadu Buhari ousted President Shehu Shagari, citing corruption and inefficiency. A decade later, in 1993, General Sani Abacha seized power after dissolving the interim government of Chief Ernest Shonekan. Each of these transitions followed the same script: military intervention presented as national rescue, which then evolved into suppression and authoritarianism. This historical pattern makes modern Nigerians particularly sensitive to any rumor of a coup. Though the current military leadership has repeatedly pledged loyalty to democracy, the memory of those years has never fully faded. That is why even an unverified report can cause public anxiety, a reminder that democracy, no matter how strong it appears, remains vulnerable. General Christopher Musa himself is a figure known for discipline and professionalism. Appointed in June 2023 by President Tinubu, he built his career through decades of military service, particularly in Nigeria's northeast, where he led major counterinsurgency operations against Boko Haram. Among his peers, he is recognized as a strategist who values structure, loyalty, and constitutional order. Earlier this year, he openly declared that Nigeria's armed forces would never support any unconstitutional change of government, affirming, "We will protect democracy, nothing like a coup will happen." His statement was direct, and it reinforced the idea that the military's role today is to defend democracy, not threaten it. Yet speculation remains alive, not necessarily because of mistrust toward Musa himself, but because of Nigeria's institutional memory. In the military chain of command, power naturally flows upward during crises, and in such a hierarchy, the Chief of Defense Staff holds immense authority. It's that historical logic, more than personal suspicion, that drives much of the public debate. Nigerians are not simply imagining individuals plotting behind closed doors. They are recalling the echoes of their past. Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, the Director of Defense Information, issued a formal statement dismissing the coup rumors. He explained that 16 officers were indeed being investigated, but only for disciplinary breaches and professional misconduct, not for political reasons. He described it as a routine exercise meant to uphold military standards. However, some inside sources insisted that the real reason behind the arrests was an attempted coup. This contradiction between official denials and unofficial claims left Nigerians uncertain about whom to believe. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, soon added its voice to the national conversation. The party called on the government to clarify the matter publicly to prevent confusion and speculation. While condemning any threat to constitutional governance, the ADC also warned against using such allegations to silence dissent or justify political persecution. "We reject any move to undermine democracy," said spokesperson Malam Balaji Abdullahi, "but we also reject the manipulation of fear to suppress opposing voices." The message was clear. Both transparency and balance are essential to protect the integrity of the state. Across Nigeria, reactions were mixed. In markets, public gatherings, and online spaces, citizens expressed concern. Some dismissed the reports as baseless political drama, while others viewed them as a serious warning sign that internal divisions may exist within the security establishment. The older generation, in particular, reacted with deep unease. They remember what it was like to live under military regimes, when free speech was stifled, the press was censored, and economic uncertainty became the norm. For them, even hearing the word coup brings back painful memories. For President Tinubu, this episode serves both as a challenge and an opportunity. It tests his administration's control over the military hierarchy while providing him a platform to reaffirm his government's commitment to democracy. His response in the coming months will be critical in shaping public confidence. Silence could deepen suspicion, while transparency could strengthen national unity. As for General Christopher Musa, his role in this narrative is both symbolic and strategic. By virtue of his office, his actions, and even his silence, are constantly scrutinized. He stands as a bridge between the military establishment and the civilian government, between the power of force and the authority of law. His continued loyalty to the Constitution, coupled with restraint and professionalism, will determine how this chapter of Nigerian politics is remembered. True strength, after all, often lies not in display, but in discipline. On a broader level, the alleged coup rumors carry implications beyond Nigeria's borders. The country is Africa's most populous nation and its largest economy. It is also the heart of ECOWAS, a regional bloc already struggling to maintain unity following military takeovers in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. If Nigeria were to fall to similar instability, the entire region could face diplomatic isolation and economic turmoil. The African Union, the United Nations, and neighboring states are all watching closely, aware that Nigeria's stability anchors West Africa's peace. Political analysts argue that Nigeria must walk a fine line, defending itself from genuine threats while avoiding the misuse of national security to silence political opposition. Too much secrecy, they warn, breeds mistrust. Too much repression fuels unrest. The key lies in open communication, adherence to the rule of law, and a shared commitment to transparency. Governments that earn trust do so not by hiding truth, but by confronting it. The media, too, bears a heavy responsibility. In an era where information spreads faster than verification, journalists must distinguish fact from rumor. Sensationalism can destabilize, but balanced reporting can enlighten. Every story must be approached with care, especially one that touches on national security. The role of the press in moments like these is not just to report, but to preserve the truth upon which democracy depends. At present, the Defense Headquarters insists that there is no cause for alarm. They maintain that the institution of the military remains loyal to the President and the Constitution. Yet the incident has reminded Nigerians that democracy, even after 25 years of continuous civilian rule, must be constantly safeguarded. Freedom is not self-sustaining. It requires vigilance, dialogue, and trust between the governed and those who govern. If the alleged coup had succeeded, Nigeria's story would have taken a darker turn. The constitution suspended, democratic institutions dismantled, and international relations severely strained. General Christopher Musa, by his position alone, might have been thrust into leadership not by ambition, but by circumstance. Thankfully, that path was never taken. The Constitution still stands, the government remains in place, and the armed forces continue to affirm their loyalty to the democratic order. For Nigeria, this moment serves as a wake-up call, a reminder that even in times of peace, the seeds of instability can quietly grow. But it also proves that institutions, when grounded in professionalism and restraint, can withstand pressure. Democracy is not merely a political system, it is a collective mindset built on trust, accountability, and courage. And while the road may still be rough, Nigeria's journey toward a mature democracy continues step by step through uncertainty and resilience. For now, the storm seems to have passed, but the true test lies ahead in whether leaders, both civilian and military, can continue to protect the nation from internal divides and external manipulation. In a country as vast and diverse as Nigeria, unity is not just an aspiration, it is a necessity. And perhaps, through moments like this, the nation learns once more that the greatest defense of democracy is not the might of arms, but the integrity of those who wield them.